This is the second day that President Mwai Kibaki is lying in state in Parliament. And as you can see there from Parliament, Kenyans are coming out in force to pay their last respect. This will carry on tomorrow and, of course, build up also for the material day that will be in Nyayo Stadium, where we'll have the state requiem mass before he gets to travel to Othaya, where he will be buried at his home. And you can see Kenyans are lining up. They've dedicated this day to come and pay their last respect. Even as this is continuing, trying to reflect on Kibaki's final journey and looking at how pivotal he was also a factor in Kenyan politics, especially as a vice president. Today being also a big day for IBC, who are meeting the principles of the different parties that we have, Azimio and Kenya Kwanza, in regard to running mate factor. And we want to just tease out also Rigathi Gachagua from what Otieno Molo is saying. You want to react to that as well. We see address the question of, on the campaign trail, you've been saying he was elected. He earned his own chops as the deputy president. He was elected and he got the numbers at the end of the day. But critically, when you look at that particular ticket, it is the face of Uhuru Kenyatta and also William Ruto at the end of the day. So if I don't like William Ruto, I like Uhuru. And this is they're conjoined. What do I have a choice?
To start with, matters names are very important. It has a lot to do with identity. This Rigathi Gachagua seated here. When he was in uniform,
yes,
he was Geoffrey Gachagua.
Geoffrey Gachagua.
Yeah. A name given to me by my sister Lillian, who lives in London, when I was very young. And when I decided that my role in public service would not be ruling but serving,
yes,
I changed my name from Geoffrey Gachagua to Rigathi Gachagua. I got a new identity that has everything now to do with serving the people. Because before, when I was Geoffrey, we were ruling. Yeah. So names and identity is a long story. Number two, Honorable Manzo, there will be no trouble in Kenya Kwanza if Rigathi Gachagua gets nothing. Rigathi Gachagua is not with William Ruto to be deputy president or to be anything. Rigathi Gachagua is with William Ruto to champion economic empowerment, to bring guaranteed minimum return for our coffee, tea and milk, and at the least to return Kenya where President Mwai Kibaki left it. I can only disagree with William Ruto if he shifts focus from that objective. Whether I'm named this or that, it's nothing. And I want to tell you, from our end, there will be no fallout, because it has not been about positions. Our conversation with William Ruto has been about the economy, how to revive the economy, to restore the wealth and dignity of the Kenyan people. That is what has brought us together with Musalia Mudavadi, with Wetangula, with the way people from the Mount Kenya region. We can only disagree around the economy and what needs to be done to restore the wealth and the dignity of the Kenyan people. Daniel, Honorable Manzo, there's nothing wrong with having jigas. All of us were jiga invested.
Yes.
And in fact, I think in this country, when I look at where we were, Mwai Kibaki rose from nothing.
Yes.
He was nobody. And he was able to bring around this country because he internalized the suffering of the ordinary Kenyan, because he had undergone the same process. I think I may look a bit, I don't know the English word, but I think this being jiga invested is a good thing for anybody who wants to be a leader of this country. Because what it means is that you have gone through what most Kenyans go through. Yes. And therefore you internalize. And you are able to associate yourselves with what needs to be done about the people of Kenya. And that is where ourselves we come in with the hustler narrative. That for you to turn this country around, you need to be, in tandem with what Kenyans go through on a daily basis. You need to have your house to be locked up because you cannot pay rent. You need to have traveled by matatu. You need to have gone to school without shoes. You need to have slept without food. so that when people are talking about high food prices, it sticks to your head. You know, he's a leader I don't want to name who was asked the price of bread. He said it's 400 shillings when it was 30. He has no idea, because these things have been bought for you all the time since the time you were born. You didn't know what it is. So, Honorable Manso, if Peter Kenneth was Jiga invested, then I think he is a good leader. I think he can do something for this country.
That's what I meant.
Because I think that is what is meant.
I think it's a good thing. It should not be viewed negatively. You know, Jigas, lice, you know, cockroaches. You know,
I think what he meant was the fact that Peter Kenneth is not the elitist that we see. People with the perception that we yes.
He was trying to downgrade people.
I should downgrade for myself.
Against Kalonzo.
So I want to announce to the people of Kenya on national television that Rigathi Gachagua was Jiga invested. He had lice. He went without food. He slept on the floor. He slept with the goats. By where the goats are, you know, same room with the goats, and therefore, when he speaks for the people of this country, he is on the same wavelength because he has been through it. It's only that God has been gracious to him and uplifted him. He has worked hard, and God being on his side, today he is here on national television talking to the people of Kenya. And the lesson is, let no Kenyan demean himself or herself. That because of your background, because you are Jiga invested, because you are born poor, because your father was not known, that you cannot be anybody in this country. Any Kenyan working hard, praying to God can be anybody, anytime.
Thank you.
Joint tickets.
Okay, yes, joint ticket.
Joint ticket.
Maybe
is the whole thing. Is the whole thing. Why these people cannot make a decision? You must get the mathematics right, because it comes with the numbers.
It comes with numbers.
It is not just anything, just like that. And let's
so do we as
that.
Kenyans, maybe the proper question will have been, do we as Kenyans elect the deputy president?
No, you elect both. That's why both are on the ticket. It's a joint ticket, and you cannot divorce it.
Yeah.
You know, I had some fellows saying,
because you know, even you, Rigathi, on the ground you've been saying that he was elected as a deputy president.
Yes, he was.
Yes,
he was.
But
Rigathi Gachagua.
But this is a joint ticket at the end of the day.
Rigathi Gachagua, went to the polling booth and got a presidential ballot paper. The picture and the name of Uhuru Kenyatta was there, and I liked it. Next to it was William Ruto, and I liked it. I put a tick to both names.
What if you didn't like?
Well, in my position, that is hypothetical. That's why the choice is very important, because it could make somebody who would have voted for you not vote for you. What Manzo is saying, the people of Gabana are saying, we voted for Raila Odinga in 2013 because Kalonzo Musyoka was on the ballot. We voted for Raila Odinga on 2017 because Kalonzo was on the ballot. If Kalonzo is not on the ballot, we have no business voting for him. Those are political realities. And you cannot wish Akina Manzo away. You can't. And they are speaking what is the reality, by the way. What is happening and why this running big business is murky is that it has a lot of consequences. You know, it depends on many people. You know, it depends on people, how they are. Myself, as Rigathi Gachagua, will vote for William Ruto irrespective of who is the running mate. But I'm not sure many people in my backyard will do the same. So it is mathematics. You have to sit down and analyze the situation.
Thank you.
What senior counsel here is saying, that since William Ruto has disagreed with Uhuru Kenyatta, you can just pass him and not greet him. I think it's a little bit petty. It doesn't matter whether you agree or not. Greetings, shaking somebody's hand, it's about humanity. It's there all over the world. It's a decent thing to do. It doesn't matter whether somebody you agree or you don't agree. A human being is a human being. Greeting somebody by hand is a gesture of goodwill to humanity. Ordinarily, we would have said probably that was not happening during COVID. We saw last Thursday during the Azimio Forum, our president greeting all the people who were there by hand. Yesterday, we saw him waving at William Ruto, Speaker Justin Muturi, and Speaker Kenneth Lusaka, but greeting Kalonzo Musyoka by hand and greeting the family of Mwai Kibaki by hand. And this is, Kenyans are asking, if it has come to that level, what are we supposed to do? If our leaders are showing us seeds of enmity, in public, displaying disdain and enmity in public. Since there is a contest, there is an election coming, we as their followers, what are we supposed to do? You may not agree with somebody in principle or on issues. Today, senior counsel and myself here, we are on the opposite side, but we always greet each other happily. You see, when we walk out with this show, we share. Because this is nothing to do with the humanity. It's just a contest that is a temporary thing that will come and go.
Thank you.
But as leaders, and I really beseech my president to exercise leadership and bring this country together, because we gave him that job and the Constitution expects him to bring people together. It cannot come from him to publicly display enmity. And people asking yesterday, if we have reached here, if William Ruto is elected by the people of Kenya as president, will President Uhuru Kenyatta turn up at Kasarani to hand over the instruments of power? If he cannot even shake his hand and he's shaking the hands of other people, have we reached there? Is it really necessary? We are saying an election will be one day. And the president himself has been saying, you go and vote, you go back to your life. So let's not make this contest a matter that we can cause confusion and sow seeds of discord to the people that we lead.
Thank you.
Let us show the people of Kenya the importance of love, unity, even in diversity. Because people can disagree, and that's where Mwai Kibaki scores. Mwai Kibaki scores because many people who are opposed to him, he has never shown them contempt publicly. Even the late President Moi, who coined a project against him and fought him very hard.
True.
When he became president, he expressed magnanimity in victory. You know, he was magnanimous in victory. He didn't lord over the people who were against him. He brought the people of Kenya to, and that is why if today, across the political divide, other than Wanyeri Kihoro, who have something negative, and of course it's understandable. You know, Dibal, human beings are human beings. His wife was in hospital for almost 4 years, and probably he feels betrayed. You know, a wife, if somebody's spouse is very close, you are very emotional about it. But I believe it's just those emotions. But you find across the whole country, Kenyans are unified. That Mwai Kibaki was a Democrat par excellence. He was an economist par excellence. He brought good leadership to this country. And out of the 4 presidents that we have had, there is no doubt that he's the best, and everybody is in agreement. Yeah, I know some people will accuse us of being political. I was in another talk show, and when we were talking about the gains of Mwai Kibaki and the fact that what he did has been ruined, almost zero, they were saying we are playing politics. But it's not politics, it's the truth. We must compare his performance with the present.
Thank you. Just a moment. I know you guys have to leave, but I implore upon you. Yeah, we will go. Just briefly, if you may allow me to just cross over, then I come back. Otieno Molo, Dan Mazo, please, I seek that you be amazingly patient today. Just we get Emmanuel To, who's on the ground, as we're also talking about running mates. Also, the gubernatorial seat is very critical, and Otieno, I think will be also good for us to explore that particular conversation of the Nairobi seat, the gubernatorial seat that now we know Polycarp Igathe has been given that particular ticket. We just want to talk to Emmanuel To, who is holding court with Polycarp Igathe in a moment, to tell us. Yes, Emmanuel, over to you.
Well, thank you very much, Dibal, and sorry for cutting you short in studio. But we are joined by the aspirant for Nairobi governor, that is Polycarp Igathe, who has also paid his last respects to the late president, that is Emilio Mwai Kibaki, here in Parliament Buildings. Remember, the body continues to lie in state for the 2nd day running. And Governor, let me just start quickly with it. I don't know whether you have interacted with the former president or the retired president in person, and what was that interaction like?
I had the privilege and high honor of interacting with him because he was president of Kenya when I served as vice chairman of Kenya Association of Manufacturers and as chairman of Kenya Association of Manufacturers. He actually attended very many forums because he was very dedicated to the economy. And beyond that, I also interacted with him. I started interacting with him as a student when he was then Minister of Health. and he was a great economist. Then I was the president of ISEC in Kenya, or national chairman of ISEC in Kenya at University of Nairobi. ISEC is the International Association of Students interested in economics and business management. And he was such a great inspiration to us, and he never stopped reminding us that you young people, this country belongs to you, and we have done our bit. Come and do your bit, come and serve. The last time I also interacted with him is when we met in Starehe Boys Center, and I was managing director of Vivo Energy Shell. As you know, the initial setup of Starehe, the money that went to set up Starehe Society came from Shell. And we met, and he was really, there's a Kibaki house in Starehe, and there's a Shell house in Starehe. And he gave me the tale and story of how Starehe came about, Operation Jock Scott. He taught me history. I spent the whole afternoon with him, and he told me, hapa palikuwa mahali pa vijana na watoto wetu kustareheka during the fight for independence, and how the Starehe Boys Center became what it is today. What a great man, what a great inspiration. Personally, for me, he inspired me to study economics at the university. And at the university also I became that is the first time I ever registered to a political party, which was the Democratic Party, which he was the leader of. And he used to say, Toka Gizani. That was the come out of darkness. And that slogan is still alive today. Kibaki was all about come to the light, get out of darkness. He was not a politician who used to generate heat. He was a politician who inspired light. Okay. And today we bask in, he was a great tree, we bask in his shade, and God bless him. And I also want to give my condolences to my friends who are his kids, Judy, Jimmy, David Kagai, and Tony. We've interacted in business, and they've become good friends of mine. I would like to ask that God gives them the peace and strength to bear the loss of their father and their dad and our president.
Okay. And maybe, Mheshimiwa, before you go, because I know you need to hit the road for the campaigns, what have you learned politically from the president? I know you have been in the corporate world. Some may say you've come in too late for the campaigns. What do you have to say about that?
I think to have patience, to listen to everybody, that everybody has to respect everyone, including your worthy opponents and competitors, and to remember that after an electoral contest, Kenya remains one.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for interviewing us.
All right.
And God bless Kenya. Thank you.
Thank you. That's Polycarp Igade, aspirant or candidate for the Azimio One Kenya Alliance, that is the Jubilee Party as well, for the ticket, for the Nairobi gubernatorial ticket. He's aspiring to be the next governor of Nairobi, and he's just giving his messages after viewing the body of the late President Emilio Mwai Kibaki, which is currently lying in state here in Parliament. Remember, this is the second day when this process is happening. We have seen a similar situation yesterday when we saw President Uhuru Kenyatta leading the nation in marking this very important process. And of course, the members of the public were also allowed in. The protocol was broken in some way because we expected dignitaries to be the ones who were going to be given the day yesterday, but the members of the public were also given a chance. And today this continues, as well as tomorrow when this process will be closing. We'll be closing at around 5 p.m., but we'll be here to give you more details. Right now, Kenyans are still streaming in and out of this place. Some are being checked from the main entrance so that they can be allowed in here. And of course, we'll be here to give you a blow-by-blow cover of what will be transpiring. So that is the match we have from here. Dibal, over to you.
Right, many thanks indeed, Emmanuel Tour there. Speaking with Polycarp Igade, who has been affronted by Azimio as the candidate for the gubernatorial seat here in Nairobi. Even as we're discussing the presentation of the running mates from the two principals to the IBC and other parties as well today, a critical day for them. Let me just come to Otiende Amolo. We'd finished with the regarding yes, because Otiende has to leave, yes. And Rigathi, I implore you to stick around just for a few moments. We discussed this particular eventuality that is happening within Azimio. It was prevailed upon. Was it prevailed upon Right Honorable Raila Odinga that Polycarp Igade should be the running mate for this particular seat in Nairobi at the end of the day, and Philip Kiloki as well, Kaloki to be the running mate. So that is what is going to be presented to IBC. That is cut and dry, as it is right now.
I wouldn't use the words prevailed upon. You know, our deed of agreement in the coalition, in the Azimio coalition, is clear even in terms of structures. So decisions are made at various stages, and ultimately, of course, resting with the presidential candidate. And so it was a discussion among all the parties that are in the Azimio coalition, and therefore it was settled that, you know, Igathe will be the candidate, deputized by Kaloki, and then Edwin Sifuna and Esther Passaris. So it was a consultation. You must remember that even my own sister, you know, was running for women rep, Elizabeth Ongoro, under ODM, and so the discussion.
Oh, yeah, I've never known everyone. Elizabeth Ongoro is your sister. Oh,
Elizabeth Ongoro is my sister.
Good to know.
So. Ultimately, in a coalition, decisions are made that are believed to be in the best interest of the coalition, of the individual candidates, and of the presidential candidate in order to capture as many votes as we can for the presidential candidate, as many seats as we can from governor to Senate to MP and MCN, and also ultimately, therefore, to get very many positions for nominated slots. So we are confident that the team that was settled on will capture Nairobi and also capture the rest of the constituencies. Let me just say two things before I leave. First is about the question of the failure to shake hands that Rigathi seems to be really bitter about. The last I checked, I thought that in these COVID times, you know, holding your hands and bowing is the greatest sign of respect, even more than shaking hands.
Yes, the namaste.
You know, yes, the namaste greeting. I thought that worldwide, in fact, is a show of respect. So I actually thought that there was a greater show of respect by the president in terms of the deputy and the speakers, more than just shaking. You know, somebody can just shake your hand, even looking the other side. That's not a show of respect. But when you hold your hands and you bow, that namaste, I think it's a show of respect. But I never said that, you know, in this time and age, people should not, you know, accord each other courtesies. I just said, and that Rigathi did not respond to, that even if you were the president, you end up being in some great difficulty how to treat your deputy when they go out, they disassociate themselves from your you know, presidency and the government, and when they come in, they want to be accorded their rightful place as the second in command to a country. It's confusing even to citizens. Secondly, you posed a question: do you elect the president and the deputy? And my brother Rigathi said yes. I think the answer is no. You can be said to elect the president and the deputy, but you don't vote for the deputy. In that voting paper, the only space to be marked is for the president, because it's automatic that if you vote for the president, it comes with their running mate. The picture may be there, but you don't vote for them.
You don't vote for them?
Yes.
Essentially, we don't vote for the deputy president?
Yes, you do not vote for the deputy president. Yes. It can be a consideration in settling for your preferred presidential candidate. So if my brother Rigathi voted twice, then that was a spoilt vote. Yeah? It would be, it's regarded as spoilt vote. You only mark it once. But let me agree with him. In terms of what my brother Nhanzo was saying, that I don't know who walked bare feet with jiggers and all, you know, we all go through these things. I first wore my shoes when I went to high school. You know, I was walking barefoot. If you never fetched firewood, if you never, you know, drew water in the lake, as in our case, if you never went hungry for even a day or two, you might not always know. But the fact that you go through that does not mean you cannot struggle through life and be in a situation where now your children do not have to go through that for them to understand. You see? Because we were in a unique situation. But many of us went through this. You know, the assumption has always been made, for example, that because Raila Amolo Odinga, you know, the father was Jaramogi, he never went through this. If you one day read Raila's story and even the Uburu Odinga story, basically the whole family, you'd be surprised. Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, despite being a vice president for a very short time, I think barely, a very, very short time, is the man who lived on the other side of town. Jaramogi lived in Jerusalem. And he had no qualms living in a place that most people do not even want to step in.
In Eastlands.
In Eastlands. His children were staying at home in Bondo. They went to Maranda, which is within the same village where I went to, you know, and they went through the same kind of things. If you hear the stories in terms of even how, you know, some of them, you know, including Oburu, including Raila, did you even know, for example, that Raila struggled through his ways until he even now went to Egypt and was being hosted, and he was working as a tour guide in the pyramids of Cairo, you know? You know, so sometimes people assume that because you may have been associated with a big name, you didn't go through that. The difference is, in the case of someone like Raila, he went through all that. But after trying and making it and becoming an engineer and even coming back to this country, then now he went through a second set of tribulation, now with the government, being the longest detainee in this country, being made to sleep in a wet, you know, in a room full of water and all those things. So there are those of us who went through the initial phase when we were young, but then there are those who now had to go through, you know, politically instigated problems like Raila. And if you ask me, the best person then to be CEO is the one who's gone through 2 rounds of problems, not just 1 round. Thank you. And I have to beg my leave.
Yeah, Otende has to leave because he has to attend that IBC meeting at the end of the day. But even as he's leaving, Rigathi, Dan Mazo, and also Kabando, have you noticed that we talk much about Mwai Kibaki during this particular, his final journey, but who was also supporting him as a vice president then?
Who?
Who was supporting him as a vice president?
As a vice president?
Yes.
Who was supporting Kibaki?
Of course.
You're asking?
Yeah, who was there, the vice president then?
What's the question?
Yeah, I'm asking.
Yes.
We had the president.
Yes, you had the president.
Mwai Kibaki. Who was the vice president?
Was his vice president?
Yes.
Wamalwa, then there was Awori,
yes.
And then there was Kalonzo.
Awori, yeah, but we have you realized we're not even talking about Wamalwa, we're not talking about Kalonzo, we're not talking about Mudi Awori.
No.
Because they were really subdued at the end of the day. No. They were not really towering over the presidency. Yes, there's a difference.
There's a difference. But before we come to that,
there's a difference. I know, because of the constitution.
There's a point Kiongozi Rigathi Gachagua mentioned, and this is not his personal view. It's a view that is shared across the country. In 1995, when Jaramogi passed on, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga is the one who plucked Mwai Kibaki from Makerere so that Kibaki could become the CEO of the Nationalistic Party then, KANU, working under Tom Mboya as the Secretary General, and of course Kenyatta as the President of KANU then.
Yes.
Kibaki and Jaramogi had a very special relationship. It should be said, because we are bastardized people because of our tribalism, that Jaramogi bought Kibaki his first car. And this has been said. He plucked him from Makerere. Jaramogi was a very successful businessman. He even bought Kibaki a car so that Kibaki, together with Tom Mboya and John Keane, could go across the country, popularizing KANU and make it the ruling party of independence. What Honorable Rigathi has suggested to the president of the country, on whose hands this particular matter of state funeral lies, is that Kibaki should travel to Othaya by road.
Yes.
For as far as I can remember, Kibaki was not that jolly, happy, chopper, ladding politician. Okay? When he came to Othaya, he was with his people. I saw you interviewing Jigari. He's my personal friend. He's the longest waiter at a silent lodge in Othaya. Kibaki was humble to that extent. After events during the day, he goes either to his home or a public place, and even in a Nyeri golf, when he went there, just a regular member and sitting with the people. It will be very good that the journey of Mwai Kibaki to Othaya is not in the air. Let it be by road. Let people line up. Let it be the longest route you can get through Sagana, maybe through Karatina, Mokroine. Then you go Tetu, you touch a little bit of Nyeri town, then you land in the barrio ceremony site. I think that's a very important suggestion, because in 1995 when Jaramogi died, Kibaki made the very famous statement, hakuna haraka, tupeleke mzee baba yetu Jaramogi nyumbani kwa barabara. And that statement of Kibaki in 1985 January was supported by the then Member of Parliament for Kitutu, Masamba, the late George Anyona. And I remember it was very loud in the country. Let Jaramogi go by road, let people line up, let them celebrate him, because not everybody is going to come to Parliament. We are also not saying that by just going by road, we are going to cover the whole of the country. But it will be something symbolic. Let him travel on the superhighway. Kibaki refused. I'm a witness to 2 attempts to name 2 institutions after him, and he declined. I have seen a Kenyan Gazette one evening with Othaya Hospital, the annex, Kenyatta National Hospital annex in Othaya, being named Mwai Kibaki Hospital. I saw that Gazette notice held by a leader from Nyeri, proudly saying, finally, we have an institution named Dr. Mwai Kibaki. It did not take 24 hours. Before that, Gazette notice was gazetted because Kibaki did not want to install his personality cult in Othaya. I am also a witness, when I was in government, of effort to name Nairobi Thika Superhighway, Mwai Kibaki Road. And civil servants and other political honchos, mandarins, went to try to name it. And Kibaki would always ask, okay, that road is from where to where? Says it's from Nairobi to Thika. Okay, then when you are there, where else? Okay, then insisting that road has a name, and that name is, it is coming from Nairobi to Thika. He didn't believe in that. So except maybe private institutions, and maybe an auditorium at Mangu High School, there isn't a single institution in the whole country named after him. The new political class is going back to the Moi era of wanting to name every school, every hospital, every road, every university. You even have universities multiple named after individuals. You don't know what is what. Even historic names that are communally owned, where people have a lot of pride in those institutions. You want to impose it. I think the message that Kibaki gave, tenda wema, nenda zako. I am also witness to the Kenya yearbook. This the government advertising agency has a series of books called Cabinet. So there's one book called Kenyatta Cabinet from 1963 to 1978. Then there are 2 series, because Moi had 24 years and some of his ministers will not last even a year. So there are 2 series, Moi Cabinet, edition 1 and edition 2. The Kibaki Cabinet book, because I've been talking to the corporation to get that with me, because I keep and I try to share, has not yet come out. I suspect that Kibaki did not want that thing done in his lifetime. I think he wanted things to be done maybe when he's gone. It is not yet out. And the excuse that was always given when it's going to printing was maybe something pictorial, something like that. He institutionalized that process. He did not want to bring it. Now, the issue of running mate and what Rigathi has said, I know Atiende is left, but I think he was trying to joke by saying that, the demeanor. What you have in Kenya now is the Atiko moment. What happened in Nigeria with our vice president, and Obasanjo there, and the problems got very serious, and Atiko did not finally go there, but the owner of the office, Vice President Ada Kibaki, were vice presidents, were not the deputy presidents. They were appointed under the prerogative and discretion of the then president. So when Michael Kijana Wamalwa, another gentleman like Mwai Kibaki, Yeah, the Queen's English-speaking gentleman from Bugoma, from Kitale, Bukusu, left. There were efforts to have a powerful vice president. Kalonzo was in line, and Raila was also that time around. Of course, Mudi Awori, we call him Ankomundi, very likable, he was given the seat. But I think if you are a political scientist, you look at the science of that politics that time, and the art of doing it now, the activation of that process was also to ensure that you don't have a vice president who is powerful enough and who is ambitious enough to succeed the president. That's exactly what happened with Mwai Kibaki. When Mwai Kibaki was demoted in 1988 March, it was simply because he was becoming popular by the day, the gentleman, brilliant, there was intolerance within the regime, and there was in parliament, there was a group called the Seven Bearded Sisters. Mashegwa Mashofi, Koigwa Mwere, Shibura Stuma, even Sheragati Mutai was there, Onyango Bindika, and they were very friendly to Kibaki. If you read Koigwa Mwere's book called The People's Representatives and the Tyrant, he talks about a Kibaki who was a dove within the system. And then there were hawks. The hawks wanted to dominate the vice president. It happened even later when we had the Saitoti appointed after Dr. Jogona Karanja was moved. Saitoti was being contended by somebody called Chairman Muya from Kajiado. And Karanja was hooded out of office by David Mwenje and Kuria Kanyingi. So, in essence, what you are saying, in the current political dispensation, the deputy president holds office by virtue of national election. He is not appointed by the president. They are actually a ticket. Yeah, yes. So it's like the president of United States of America. You go to office as one. Now, when you're addressing the bar, this point.
Yes, because we are supposed to be winding up.
Yes,
I want to. Yes.
When you are talking about the issue of running mate, I don't think we should personalize very much. And I have seen Manzo trying to do that. What we should be, and that's why he was mentioning Peter Kenneth, in my view, because I know
we will reserve this discussion to next week. Yeah, can we reserve that? Because of course, once they present, we will have it.
What we should look for when you are talking about running mate, we should look at what the person represents. Is it courage? Is it integrity?
We'll have a second edition of that. Yeah? We'll have a second edition of that next week. Let's see how it pans out from 28th. Next week we'll have a good opportunity. Yes. Rigathi.
We have two projects in this country. One is Project Raira by President Uhuru Kenyatta. And even before the dust has settled, he has come up with another project called Project Igave. Igave was our deputy governor, Nairobi.
Yes.
And we then in Jubilee made a consideration because we needed Mike Sonko to mop up the presidential vote in Nairobi. But many people had doubts, and rightly so, about his management skills. So Polycarp Igade was brought as a stabilizing factor into that government so that Sonko could do the politics and Igade could do, governance so that the city runs. But the guy is a coward, he's a quitter. Within a few months, he couldn't take the hit. He quit. He abandoned the people of Nairobi and all of us. The mess that has been in Nairobi is a result of his cowardice and his inability to take the hit. Nairobi is not just another ordinary city. This is a very difficult place. You ask the likes of Ferdinand Waititu, they were even walking around in the city with stones because of how ferocious the city is. Polycarp Igade does not have the mettle to be the governor of Nairobi. He cannot withstand pressure from MCAs. He cannot withstand pressure from cartels. This is a guy, in an unfortunate event, he was elected, 6 months down the line, he just quit. And nobody wants to take a chance in Nairobi. All of us are stakeholders in this city. We have invested here, we live here, and I have listened to the people of Nairobi. Nobody will go to a quitter. Why Igade has been brought is because Tim Wanyonyi, the likes of Gatia and others cannot be trusted to protect certain interests. And Igade is found to be safe, to be pedigree, to be a good boy who can be entrusted to oversee the development of Northland City. That is why he has been brought. But I can tell you, the people of Nairobi are not amused. They are not going to vote for a quitter. His running mate, Kaloki, he hardly knows the city. He has not been in this city. This city needs people who understand it and who have been around for a long time. And because of political considerations, he has been put there. But probably the little he knows about this city is the way to the university, the way to Kalonzo's house in Karen. This city is difficult. This city requires tough fellows who have been brought up in this city, people who know what ails this city, and people with the mettle to take the heat and the pressure from the issues in Nairobi. This is a rough city. It's not for quitters. It's not for people who are soft, and it's not for projects. And I can tell you, Diba, this thing of projects is something that Kenyans do not want. You know, you can see what has happened. Richard Gatia was encouraged to start campaigning. He has campaigned, he has put billboards, he has gone all over, then he has been thrown under the bus. You know, Tim Wanyonyi was encouraged to have his bid. He went ahead, he formed teams, he was everywhere, he has been thrown under the bus. Look at what has happened in Kangema. You know, Muturi Kigano, who has been the chairman of JLAC, the one who moved the amendments for the Political Parties Act that now has been used against him. He has been thrown under the bus. You know, and this is what we are saying, the politics of betrayal.
Thank you.
The politics of deceit.
Right. I can see the sun is busting in now.
The politics of misusing people. You misuse people to do your dirty work. When they have done your dirty work, you throw them under the bus. That is what we want to sort out in this election.
Thank you, Brigadier Dan Marzo.
Yes,
then we wind up.
Yes, as we wind up, first of all, I want, you know, to remove from Honorable Kabado's mind what things I was thinking about Peter Kenneth. I would just say, and you have seen it be repeated by Polycarp Igathe, that Stareboy Center was very key to President Kibaki. He brought it up, he understood it well, and he worked for it up to the time of his demise. What I was trying to give was an example that where Peter Kenneth came from and who he is today. That is part of the big effort by the Honorable Mwai Kibaki. And the first time an old boy of Sare became a politician, and this was Honorable Tuju and Honorable Peter Kenneth, Griffin was very happy because he had looked forward, having brought up boys and mentored them to be leaders, and really encouraged a lot of us to become surgeons. A lot of surgeons you meet in many hospitals in the world went to Starehe, administrators, the army, air force, and that. So I really want to say that I meant well, and I mean well for Peter Kenneth, and I believe he is a very best suited candidate even for Minister for Finance. About the city and
can we reserve the city for next week? I'm being hounded out of studio today. You'll appreciate also we really extended today. Yeah, so I don't want to actually.
It's very well suited and Honorable Ingafi, and I'm sure the ticket will win.
Thank you. Dan Mars, I really appreciate. Sorry for cutting you short. We'll actually extend this discussion next week. Also, Kabano, thank you for coming through. After 9 good years, at least now you've broken that Gordian knot. Thank you for coming back to...
I've come because of Kibaki, to celebrate him.
Thank you.
And also because I respect you as a host.
Thank you very much. And Rigathi Gachagua, thank you for coming through. I really do appreciate it. Let's just continue the conversation on the final journey of Kibaki right now. I'll take you over now to, of course, Jesse Rogers, who will take us through that particular programming that is continuing on the Precincts of Parliament, where Kenyans are filing in to just pay their last respects today, and they're really coming out in force. You've been watching Morning Prime here, Siasa Fiesta, here with Dibala. Thank you.